Now let's move away to our next talking point on the show, and this is a headline from The Guardian where the sports minister came out to say
help me. They go where I don't know.
40 billion naira to fix the national stadium in Sule. I mean, it's for me. It's so, should I say, it's quite sad I didn't watch Super Eagles play at the national stadium in Sule. I watched the team in Teslim, I've watched the team in Abuja, I watched the team in Uyo. But I mean, I didn't watch the Super Eagles play at the national stadium in Sule. I hope it could be revamped.
Well, you started your career from the national stadium.
Sule League, thank you. But I mean, 40 billion to fix the stadium. I mean, he said a lot. Let me just quickly read a few of the quotes. He said we've got about 400 million naira from Chief Kensington Adebutu and the ministry through the federal government.
As for those who don't know.
Yeah, in the last 2 years they spent over 200 million on the stadium. My budget to fix the stadium in a year is about 120 million naira. Yes, timelines were not met on the renovation, but those were the issues beyond my control. As of 3 years ago, the estimate to fix the stadium was 21 billion, but as of today, 21 billion naira. But as of today, the amount has risen, so that is where the 40 billion naira came into play. So, but he said, however, if he can get 21 billion naira, he will fix the stadium immediately. So he went on to say quite a lot of things were stolen from the stadium that added to the expenses and all that. Some cables were stolen, and some figures were quoted as well to replace those cables and all that. But in all of this, should you spend this amount of money renovating the stadium or channel it into? I mean, remember we are bidding to host the AFCON 2025 AFCON.
We have no business doing that bid. Anyway.
ICAF inspectors have been in the country to check out some couple of stadiums and all that. So should we spend this amount of money renovating that stadium, or we should just channel into somewhere else and move on?
So I'm looking at countries that have made progress in football. We should have a paradigm shift. The Abuja National Stadium, for instance, this is the 20th anniversary of that stadium since it was commissioned for the All African Games Koja 2003. And I double dare anybody to come out with the statistics, a valid return on investment. The money went at the time that stadium was built. It was the most expensive stadium in the world, and what was spent in that stadium, what we've continuously put into it, and how much we have gotten back, whether in terms of goodwill, whether in terms of finances, in terms of branding, whatever. Let's look at that first. Then the Lagos Stadium. When this minister first came into power, there was a consortium that came in and said, look, lease the stadium to us for 100 years. We're going to spend £2 billion and build something like the White Hart Lane Stadium and then put 2 5-star hotels. Now, the reason for the 5-star hotel, because a stadium on its own cannot really, in Nigeria right now with the kind of league we run, cannot really provide the funding that you need to take care of it. But then they will put about 4 cinemas, okay, shopping mall, and then monetize the parking area and everything, and then put 2 5-star hotel on the 2 wings, one side to the Alaka side and then one side to the other side going to Joelegba, but the back side. So where you have the NIS pitch, and then this other beginning where you have the lawn tennis course, and but the very back of it, okay. And they put up a bid, they pitched, they did presentation and all that. What was remaining? Then I'm not saying this is not. I'm not dragging this thing out of thin air. Okay, there are papers to back this up. What was remaining was for them to get the Attorney General, the minister, to make a proper presentation to the Attorney General to get that irrevocable lease for 100 years. So they're not taking over the stadium. Nigeria still owns it. They will pay lease rent on it and all that. But then they will run their business in that place for the next 100 years. And I've heard a lot of Nigerians say it's a slave deal. When the last time that stadium was in use is about 2000. Between that time and now, nothing good has come out of the stadium. The stadium is dilapidating. The good thing again with the stadium is this stadium was built in 1972. The concrete integrity is still solid. So if they want to build on top of the stadium, they can still build on it and just realign the seating arrangement and redesign it, make it a full covered stadium, but the structure will still be there. The structure will still hold. It's just like redesigning it that would happen. but we were unable to get it. Now, for a country, I don't know unless the economists that the teachers that taught me basic economy in school were not good enough, or probably my brain is there's kerosene in my brain. For a country that borrows money to fund its budget, a country that borrows money to pay its workers, why do you want to spend 21 billion? Okay, why do you want to spend 21 billion to take care of a stadium that doesn't have a club? There's nowhere in the world where you build a stadium that doesn't have a club. When London built a stadium, the London Stadium for the London Olympics, 2012 Olympics, they quickly realized the stupidity behind it, because you cannot have the London Stadium and also have Wembley, both of them in London. What did they do? They quickly moved for West Ham to rent it, and now West Ham wants to buy it and own it as their own property and redesign it. That's the way it works. So look at Lagos, for instance. There is not a single club that can own a 40 billion naira stadium, not even the Sporting Lagos. Yes, say whatever you want to say, the man is a billionaire, he done this, he done that. It will not work. And if all the clubs come together, even the whole Collation MS facility at Ikene for what's it called, Remo Stars and Beyond Limit, is not up to 41 billion. So what sense does it make? The greatest sense is to look for investors that will come in and invest in it, and not the Baba Ijebu money. As far as I'm concerned, the Minister of Sports, in my own opinion, I might be wrong, his intention might be good. So I'm not going to sit here and say the minister's intentions are bad. His intention might be good, but he's gone it in such a way that it now looks like they just fleece Adebitu's money and nothing is coming out of it, because there is no way the money that was quoted, 400 million, 500 million, 100 what's it called, 1 billion will not fix that stadium. It will not even take care of the grass and the subsequent maintenance. So there is nothing there that makes sense to me. And then to now say a government that is leaving office in the next couple of days, I agree that it was the former chief of staff of Jagaban, meaning that there is a lobby there going on. Amokachi wants to be the next sports minister. Oh God, as much as I loved Amokachi in his playing days, I just look at Amokachi and I said, this guy is sports minister of Nigeria. That we are done for. Right? So Amokachi wants to be the next sports minister. He's lobbying madly. I hope that, maybe I'm thinking that Sunday Dare thinks that with the next government, because of his relationship with the president-elect, they might still keep him there. I mean, if he my chief of staff, it means that we're very, very close. They might keep him there to continue as a sports minister, but that's a long shot, okay? That's a long shot. And I also agree that in Nigeria, people don't really take the sports ministry as a serious office. So they may have allocated petroleum ministry, economic finance ministry, or foreign affairs, all the real portfolio, and then this one that is a Hasbro portfolio, they'll just leave it there and say, okay, let's leave it there for Sunday Dare. But hey, what is a scorecard preceding the next government? As Sunday Dare really run the affairs of Nigerian sports well, the Tigers qualified for the World Cup and they didn't go because he couldn't raise the fund. Under him, our national teams have been doing worse. They can't even go to any competition. So I don't even want to believe that we're going to come. I didn't think that we will wake up one day and say, so somebody is better than, Solomon Dalong is better than somebody. But exactly what it is right now, Solomon Dalong is better than this man. So if you look at all of that, why did you not go back to that consortium and say, listen, okay, we're going to give you the stadium, maybe not in 100 years, maybe for 50 years, maybe for 60 years, maybe for 80 years, whatever it is, but we want to renegotiate terms, we want this, we want that. And that's not happened. So why would in Nigeria, it's like saying, as we are now, I can't feed my children, and then I go to my younger sister and say, bring 4 of your children to come and stay in my house. Who does that? Who are they expect to come and give me money? Who are they expect to feed the children for me? And I come on YouTube and begin to beg people, Mona, give me money, or to feed my children. I have 3 children, I've not been able to feed them. You can't fund your budget, you can't pay your workers. You want to spend 40 billion on a stadium that doesn't have a club attached to it, that doesn't have a league. The entire Nigerian league does not produce up to 100 million in a year, and you want to fund a budget for a stadium that at most Super Eagles, let's say Super Eagles even play all their matches here, the Falcons play all their matches, at most in a year you won't get more than 7 games. Is that how a stadium will produce money? How much do Nigerians pay to go watch matches in stadiums? That's another thing. Nigeria is the most difficult place to go watch the national team in a stadium. You have experienced it in Abuja.
Yeah.
To go into a stadium to watch a match is like going through the eye of the camera going through the eye of the needle. So what are we really discussing here? It makes no sense. I think that the ministers, whatever his ideas and positions are concerning the matter, is last minute. The Nigerian world, last minute opportunity to put your hand in the cookie jar and grab as much as you can grab, because this is an exit ticket, and then you take that money and then you allocate contract to your friend, so that if you don't get another appointment, you still remain relevant, you still control some narrative. I mean, because you're going to give contract to people who can give you kickback and all that. But hey, let's watch and see. I hope they can prove me wrong, so it doesn't be like I'm just in the studio ranting. What do I know? I don't know anything. I'm just talking shit. And then, they come and use that 40 billion to do national stadium. Unado.
Another thing that, got me from what he said also for the first time, and this is a quote, he said for the first time in history, sports got a spot in the National Development Plan. This has never happened before, and 80 billion naira was approved for sports, while 60 billion naira was approved for youth development. And they said this will be funded jointly by the public and private sector. So basically, it's called for more private sector support.
So the question now in this is that is it trying to take that 40 billion? If they give sports development, now let's even talk from a reasonable point of view. Sports has never gotten money, and all of a sudden there's 80 billion to access, right?
Yeah.
Now this 80 billion that is there to access. Would you rather build the national stadium, or you would rather build the what the French people have, what they call the Clairefontaine Football Academy that produce Thierry Henry, Tracy Gale, Nicolas Anelka, N'Golo Kante, Blaise Matuidi, Kylian Mbappe, a structure that picks kids from the age of 8, 12 to 14 and develop them into the world superstars that they are. They become GDP grower, they become global brand that will bring in more money. If Real Madrid sign Mbappe today, money goes into Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain spends the money, they pay tax to the government, they spend the money within the economy and grow the system. But if you build a stadium with 40 billion, let's even say, okay, half of that money you put it in one stadium. What happened to athletics? What happened to swimming? What happened to wrestling across Nigeria? And you're going to take half of the money that has never been allocated before for the very first time and put it in Lagos. There are freaking 36 states plus the Federal Capital Territory in Nigeria, and we run a system that is supposed to consider every part of the country. How many talents do you in the last 10 years can you beat your chest and say Lagos have produced? Victor Osimhen. After that one, who else? Nobody. Absolutely nobody, right? And you want to put 40 billion in Lagos, the only one state that doesn't have proper football clubs in this state. You want to put 40 billion there in a national stadium that would still struggle with the Abuja stadium. How many stadiums does a country needs to have? Like the country is managing a stadium. How many do they need to have? What is the history of our stadiums bringing return on investment? Why not build a purpose-built facility that is geared towards 40 billion, we're going to put 20 billion to create a dome for wrestling, or to create a dome for athletics, high performance training, like the one we have in Port Harcourt that I don't know whether it's working. High performance training facility that would help nurture and groom talent to the level where they can compete with the very best in the world. That's one. Or let's create a national academy where we bring players from the ages of 12 or 8 from all geopolitical zones, and we find a way to sustain it through public and private sector funding, because you will feed these players, you will train them, you will academically groom them as well, you nurture them, like the La Masia you have, like the Clairefontaine, the one you have in the Netherlands, the one you have in Italy, the Canonasio one, the one you have in Belgium as well, that produce all of these players like Eden Hazard, Tongan Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, Lukaku, Atso Witsel, Ventogen, and the rest of them. Would it not pay us better if we do that and then export the talent rather than say we want to build a state? I don't even know what the purpose is. Not like we are guaranteed that we're going to play the World Cup finals. Not that we are guaranteed that when we build the stadium, we must qualify for the World Cup. We will still build the stadium and will not know how to water grass, how to nurture the grass of the stadium. Players will still come and still train in darkness and use their torchlight, the torchlight of their phone to train. I saw that in Abuja. Nobody, this is not a conversation, and that's not the first time it's happening. It's happened many times. They will still, NFF will still give stadium manager 1 million naira, and he will refuse to own the jet. Because in his office, he is powerful. He is a god because he's not answerable to the NFF people. He's answerable to the minister, and the minister is not giving him directive. All of those things. We will see how the kind of frustration that somebody like Amaju faced when he was the NFF president. What are we really saying here? Are we serious people? There is no way this conversation will come up when I will support it. I might be wrong, but I'd rather be wrong on my own than support this. First off, they've not shown me any country where they have multiple stadiums being managed by the federal government. We talk on one front that we don't want government. Government is not supposed to be putting hand in sports. It's not their business to do sports. Now we want to spend 40 billion of money that we don't have. Tomorrow morning we hear that the president is asking the Senate to approve so that we go and take loan. One day we'll take loan. When we wake up, they don't use crane lift Nigeria come out. They go drop us on one island, Chinese island. Our eye go clear.
So finally on this matter, so we should channel the money somewhere else. What do we do to that edifice? What do we do to that venue? What's the way forward? If we channel the money somewhere else, then what happens to the National Stadium in Surrey? What happens to that structure and everything around it?
If a company have agreed before that they see something in it, let's not make foolishness about this conversation. Nigerian sports is a very, very viable sports that can generate money. It's a $5 billion industry. So it's not like it's a wasteland. It's not a wasteland. It's a $5 billion industry. But how you do it really matter. It is, how they say it's not what you say but the way you said it, or it's not what you did but how you did it. How we're going about it is what is wrong. We are claiming on one hand that government does not have money. We want to leave subsidy. We want people to start buying fuel at 700 naira per liter. Gradually we've gone. The same country where they protested for 87 naira per liter, we are buying fuel at, some people are buying at 300 naira per liter outside of Lagos. As I talk to you, I buy at 210 naira, right? Just next year in this Lagos. So if you're complaining on one hand that you don't have the money to do all of this, and you want to spend 40 billion of taxpayers' money on a non-productive stadium, that's a crime. That's a sin. That somebody should be jailed for that. But now you ask me what I want them to do for the stadium. My take on the stadium is go back to the people who offered to do business with you and maybe retweak the deal to favor Nigeria. Put Nigeria in the context of the conversation. The thing that killed that contract before, let me tell you something. There are people in government who actually want the national stadium demolished and turned into real estate. But because of how deep I'm into this thing, let me just blank their names out. There are people who have been governors of states before, who are now in position of power high up in Abuja, want the national stadium Abuja to be broken down and turned into real estate. That's one. The families that own the land believe that some of the paperwork were not properly done. They want their land back. That's another, like we had with the National Theatre. That's another conversation. Lagos State says they have Tesla Balogun. They don't even need the stadium. It's their land. They want their land back. So there is also all those lobby group that is there here and there and all of that. Here, there, and everywhere, like in the sun. But I still think that is a project that will guarantee between 35 to 45,000 jobs, and put over 2 billion pounds into our economy, is a more viable one than the one that will cost us to spend 40. And when there's never been a time when Nigerian government put up a budget for something and then we actually spend exactly that. So if we start the project when the minister came in, he said he needed 400 million and everything will be done. From 400 million, got the 400 million. We didn't do anything. We now went to 21 billion. From 21 billion 3 years ago, now we are at 40 billion. What's the guarantee that if the minister starts this project, like you even give him the 40 billion now, we will not walk halfway and they tell you the way they stole cable now, that they stole something, they stole the whole stadium itself. Quantum physics have shrink the stadium, put it in pocket, and it has disappeared. And now we want to start the project again, and it is now 500 billion, like the light train project. Remember when the light train project started about 15 years ago? It was XYZ amount. The money we have spent for the light train project, as much as it is a good project, is the same money it will cost to run a train from Lagos around the whole of Nigeria. But hey, let's just manage it from here to Okokomaiko and we're good. will spend the money that will stretch the length of Nigeria on that short distance. But we are okay. So far we see train. We don't see train before. We never see train. Meanwhile, you go to Dubai, you see train where nobody they drive. All you hear is Alabua Union Station. You come out. You Alabua this one. You come out. That's all you hear. And you don't know the pilot. No, you just that's how advanced they are. Nobody talk about this. So if we really want to grow, we should be talking about things that will put money in the economy, not things that will take money that we don't have out of the economy. I don't support it. I might be the only voice shouting in the opposite direction, but I rather on this one. I think I know enough, more than a lot of people will be on Twitter insulting me and shouting, and I would stand on that ground and say the minister is wrong here. And again, let me ask, why is he interested in doing this now when their government tenure is weeks away from rounding up?
Maybe he feels you get another term to run the office and all that. But that's how we'll wrap it on this conversation.
You are listening to Elegbete TV Radio.